Chapter 27. The Benefits of Being an Octopus. Our first stop is the courthouse to file for the emergency protective order. The process takes a long time, but when my mom calls Connor at the restaurant to see if he needs his car back, I can hear him through the phone insisting that we darn better keep the car as long as we need it, and that if we try to bring it back too soon, he'll refuse to take the keys. And then, when my mom finally gets in front of the judge, he immediately issues the protective order, just like that. My mom takes an extra copy of the paperwork she had to fill out, and the first thing she does when we get to Crystal's apartment is to put it down on the kitchen table. You should do this too, for you and for Fuchsia. Let's just remember that I'm the one who's letting you stay in my apartment, Crystal says, glaring at my mom. I didn't say anything about letting you be the boss of me. Still, when my mom's not looking, I catch Crystal folding up the forms and storing them in the back pocket of her jeans. Fuchsia is out somewhere, but Jane Kitty is still around, and Aurora disappears into the bedroom after her. Bryce won't let go of my leg. I keep rubbing his back. My mom turns to me. I'm going to drive Connor's car back to the pizza pit and stay for my dinner shift. Can you? She trails off and looks at Bryce. I'll get us all settled in, I say, but can I have some money so we can go get something for dinner? My mom takes out a stack of ones out of her pocket and counts out $5 for me. Then she plunks a bunch of it down on the table for Crystal. For rent, she says. Crystal counts it and then pockets it. Better than nothing. My mom hands me Hector and heads out. And I look up and find Crystal eyeing me. This place isn't baby-proofed, you know, she says. I nod. I'll just watch him real well to make sure he doesn't get into anything. It's so awkward to still be standing near the door, but there's only one chair and Crystal is sitting in it, and it's not like I can move with Bryce suctioned onto me. Was this really my idea? Bryce tugs at my jeans and whispered, "Where are we going to sleep?" I glance at Crystal. If she heard this question, she's not showing it. Well, I'll start. It'll probably be more crowded than before. Bryce looks around at our trash bags stuff that are lined up in front of the sink, and then he bursts into tears. Bryce, I say. I detach him from my legs so I can kneel down and wrap my free arm around him. Hector squirms out on the other side of me, and even though I just said I would keep a close eye on him, I don't chase after him. Instead, I wrap my other arm around Bryce, too. I don't even bother to ask him what's wrong, because what's the point? What isn't wrong? Hector is crawling toward the radiator. He'll find out soon enough that it's hot, and he won't want to touch it again. Just don't start licking that lead paint. It's too bad we didn't have time to grab his exerciser. There isn't much in the kitchen to distract him with. Bryce is sobbing so hard that I feel his wet tears through my shirt, and I hug him harder. I'm right here, Bryce, I whispered. I'm always going to be right here. Bryce's whole body shudders with sobs. His head is buried in my shoulder, and I try to rest my head on his, but instead he pulls away to look at me. But it's... He gulps with the force of a sob before he can say anything. But it's... His eyes are so scared. But it's not here, he finally cries, waving frantically at the trash bag in a line. That trash bag, it had my lightsaber in it. I close my eyes. Oh, Bryce, I'm so sorry. And I need that lightsaber, he cried. I need it. I need it. I need it. He buries his face back into me again. We'll find you another one, I murmur into his hair. Don't worry. I looked around to see Hector sitting happily on the linoleum floor, playing with some takeout containers. Then another container is dropped right in front of him, and I realize Crystal has been washing them out in the sink and giving them to him. Her face is hard to read, but she doesn't look annoyed, more like curious. But I need it. Bryce is still whimpering to my shoulder. I need it. His chest shudders to fight off the bad guys. My breath catches in my throat. I grab Bryce by the shoulder and hold him so I can see his face. You don't need your lightsaber anymore. You're safe from bad guys here, okay? Do you understand me? You're safe. Bryce is watching me with his puffy red eyes like he doesn't believe me. You're safe here, I repeat, and I pull him back to my chest. And no one here is going to tell you not to cry when you're sad. A few minutes later, Fuchsia comes through the door. She's a bit out of breath. I found an extra mattress down in the basement, but I need help getting it up the stairs. I release Bryce and follow Fuchsia down the stairs to help. I'm sure I'll get used to these stairs. Zoe? I look up to see Bryce watching from the landing. Yeah, I say. Did Fuchsia find that mattress just for us? Yeah, buddy, I think she did. Bryce bites his lip and nods, and then heads back up to the apartment. Fuchsia calls to me from the bottom of the stairs. Zoe, are you coming? Yep, on my way. On Monday morning, I take the bus with Fuchsia. We don't talk much. She's never been much of a morning person, and I haven't gotten much sleep based on the fact that Bryce is still waking up with nightmares. And when I try to go back to sleep, my mom and Hector are somehow always taking up most of the bed. I guess the last time she and I shared a mattress with a baby, that time it was Bryce, I was smaller. It's weird that Fuchsia isn't waiting for me at my locker. She had mumbled something about going to the nurse and had disappeared as soon as we got to school. Maybe she didn't sleep well the last 2 nights either. I don't know if she's much of a fan of having to share a bed with Crystal, but instead she insisted that Bryce and Aurora could use hers. Still, it works out that she's not leaning against the locker next to mine, since someone's decorated it up and down with Valentine hearts. I guess today is Valentine's Day. I stuff my jacket into my locker and head into homeroom. Inside, everyone's in a tizzy over who got carnations from whom and how many. Miss Popularity, Savannah Bobbins, is at her desk, surrounded by most of homeroom. Hold on, I lost count again. I have to start over. I give them wide berth and find my way to my seat in the back. As soon as I sit, I put my head down on my desk and close my eyes, but I can still hear her squealing. Who's this red one from? Someone says. You know what the red means, right? Hey, someone close to me says. I wish they'd all stay put and not wander back here. So I just wanted to say, the close by voice says, who is he talking to? It's like he's right on top of me. I sneak a peep from under my arm and I see Matt. I lift my head. He's not talking to anyone, though. No, I mean he is. He's talking to me. I just hadn't really thought about those things until you said them, he's saying. And you were right about Silas. I sat with him on the bus today so I could apologize, and he wasn't anything like I had been thinking. I open my mouth, but nothing comes out. So I just wanted to say, Matt continues, that I'm sorry and that you should come back to debate club. You're really good at it. I quickly look away and shake my head. You're the kind of person who should be in debate club, someone who can be confident without getting so upset that they knock over a cardboard cutout of Harry Potter, like when you gave that speech before the student council election. Totally professional. I glanced at him, and he's looking more uncomfortable than I've ever seen him. Can you tell a secret? Can I tell you a secret? He whispers. I look up. Is he blushing? What? I say. My mom wrote that speech for me. She did? Yeah, it was easy to be calm since it was a good speech and since most of the people watching were my friends. Your mom really wrote that for you? I still can't get over that. Yeah, is that wrong? I figured it was a better speech than I could have written, and people deserve a good speech, so he trails off. That was probably wrong, wasn't it? I shrug. I just can't imagine my mom ever writing a student council election speech for me. I just wanted people to like the speech, you know. Yeah, I know. But that's why you should come back to debate club, because you don't need your mom to write a speech for you. You don't even need notes. Lydia wants you to come back too, because you just say what you think, you know, and that's really cool. I try to picture going back to debate club. Could I really do it? Wait, did Matt Hubbard just call me cool? Like, really, continues, I think I'd score better points at the tournament if I could be more like you were on Friday. I look at him, at his nicely combed hair, at his pleading brown eyes, at his complete cluelessness that somehow it all comes down to how many points you can score in a tournament. I take a deep breath. I think that sometimes you need to have your back up against the wall to find out what you're made of. And you just haven't had that happen to you yet. Matt nods like he totally gets what I'm saying, and that maybe you can order a having your back up against the wall experience online and have it delivered to your house. You know what I you know what could be good to do, I say, because if somehow the world has turned upside down and I, Zoe Albro, am giving Matt Hubbard advice, then I might as well keep going. If you imagine what it's like to have your back up against the wall all the time, you might be less likely to assume someone stupid and evil. I glanced down at my desk, especially someone like Silas. I never see Silas during school except at lunch, but usually he's in mute mode, so that doesn't really count. Today is different because when I'm on my way to the lunch line, I see him crossing the cafeteria, and he's coming right over to me. Where were you this morning? He asked, with words, out loud words. People are streaming past us on their way to the line. It's kind of complicated, I say. We kind of moved. Moved? But Lenny's car was still there last night. Moved without Lenny, I say. Moved because of Lenny. Silas bites his lip and nods. Oh. He studies the cafeteria floor. Matt Hubbard talked to me on the bus this morning. He said you said something about me in debate club. I'm sorry, I say quickly. It wasn't really my business, but Thanks, he says. He's looking up for me now, and his freckles want me to connect them into rainbows and unicorns. Matt and I talked for a while. It was cool. I look away from his freckles. Did you tell Matt about bobcat hunting? No. Why? Because it's our special secret, that's why. No reason. You know, my dad and I are going back out to scout Squaretail Brook again early on Sunday. He steps to the side to get out of someone's way. The bobcat hunting season ended last week, but I still want to go find some sign of it, something to prove that it's really there. I study the fake wood pattern on the closest cafeteria table and try not to show how much I suddenly wish I could go scouting Squaretail Brook with him. You know, it's cool that you're doing debate club, Silas says. That takes lots of guts. I just shake my head. I just did it for a few weeks. I don't know if I'm going back. I follow the concentric circles of the fake wood as they get bigger and bigger. Well, it sounded like you were pretty good at it based on what Matt said. I keep my eyes glued to the table. Did he really just say that? So, when am I going to see you? Silas asked. He couldn't have just said that. Hey, Zoe. Hey, Silas. I look up to see Matt walking past on his way to the lunch line. Kylie is right behind him. Did you seriously just say hi to him? She hisses loud enough for me to hear. Matt glances back at me. Yeah, why shouldn't I? They keep walking. Zoe, are you okay? Silas asks. My face must be a total mess of disbelief. I take a deep breath and look at Silas with his hazel eyes and unicorns made of freckles. Yes, I am. I take a second deep breath. Then I rip a piece of paper out of my math notebook. This is my mom's cell phone number. Maybe we can meet up after school sometime. Silas stares at the paper I'm handing him and then takes it. Thanks. I swallow down all the nerves trying to erupt out of me. Like maybe I could come with you and your dad when you go scouting for bobcats. He looks up at me. How about Sunday morning? I manage a nod. That'd be great. When I'm sitting in English class an hour later, I realize I should probably keep going to debate club meetings too, and that I could sit next to Kyla, because I'm pretty sure she knows what it's like to have your back up against the wall, and it's always good to stick together. I get to social studies class early, and Mrs. Rochambeau is up out of her chair as soon as she sees me. Zoe, I've been meaning to talk to you. I'm so glad you said what you did at that last debate club practice. What I need to know now is, are you safe? What do you mean? You talked about an adult intimidating a girl with a gun. Was that you? I shake my head. It wasn't. Half of me wants to spit out Fuchsia's name, but the rest of me knows enough to keep it locked up tight. Are you sure? Are you sure that you're safe? I am. I wasn't before, but it wasn't because of a gun. It was because of a guy, a different guy. I looked at her, a guy who was really good at discrediting his opponent. Miss Rochambeau exhales and sits back down in her chair. Tell me. I glance at the door and see other kids starting to arrive. The main thing is that you helped me see what he was doing. I realized that I didn't have to look at things the way he wanted. Mrs. Rochambeau's face changes. I think she's trying to keep from crying. She nods, then wipes her eyes and pulls me into a hug. If anyone could do it, it was you, Zoe. When she finally releases me, she looks at me. So will you come back to debate club? I swallow. I have to help my friend today, but I promise I'll be there tomorrow. I hesitate. Can you still drive me? I live somewhere else now. I'll drive you wherever you need to go, Zoe, and listen. She takes a form off her desk and slips it into my hand. I'll be handing these out at the debate tournament entry forms today after school, and I want you to seriously think about it. The fees will be covered, and all you need to bring is yourself. She raises her eyebrows and smiles at me. And your willingness to speak up. I bite back a smile, and on my way to my seat, I don't throw the form in the trash. I don't even drop it in the paper recycling. Instead, I tuck it into my pocket.